Hello, George.
Hello, Suzanne.
Welcome. All the way from Australia, connecting with sunny Spain.
Yeah, it's amazing what we can do these days on this planet, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, we're going to have a long chat, and our intention is just to let things flow and just be totally spontaneous. So here we go. All right? George, you've been on a long journey. We've been on a long journey. And you have come here to remind us of what we already know, you say. You've come to remind us of who we are and why we're here at the end of this cycle.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah. Okay. What is your truth? And you have had amazing experiences, George. All based on experience, your truth is revealed, and you've come now to explain your truth. Can you go into the details that have set you on this enormous journey that you're doing for humanity?
What I can share with you in that area is, throughout my life, I've always known deep down inside that I had a calling. I had this reason for my incarnation. There's more than one reason for everything that occurs in life, but there was sort of like the principal and primary reason, before, beyond and above all other reasons why I came to this planet. And there's many people that feel this way. We have so many discussions with people along our journey, and so many people feel this in their hearts, and there's so many wonderful people doing great work all around the planet at the moment, and they're doing what I call their great work. And this is me doing my great work. I call it the great work. And I had that throughout my life. Even as a child, I just knew. But how was it going to come about? How was it going to manifest? And I had an incredible range of experiences throughout my life. Actually, I could feel like a force, like an energy that was working on me to take that away from me, to stop me. It was like a force that was attempting to stop me from doing my great work, to undermine all the, I would say, the confidence in me, to get it at me from so many different angles, to remove the connections I had from to the resources that I would require to do my great work. And but then on the flip side, I had some wonderful experiences which promoted those feelings and promoted those knowings and understandings of my soul's journey in this lifetime. It's been fascinating. So as far back as I can remember, in this lifetime, which goes back to about 5.5 years old, I have been having experiences with other realities, not only on this planet, but beyond this planet, and from beings from other realities as well, interacting with them personally. So it's been an amazing journey.
Yeah, you say that from the age of 5 or 6, you had your first experience of being contacted by extraterrestrial beings. Would you like to tell us a little about that so people can know what we're really talking about? You know, get down to the nitty-gritty.
Yeah. Well, you see, that's as far back as I can remember. Yeah. But I have a knowing inside of me that things happened prior to that as well. But I don't have the recall or the memories of those situations and experiences. So on this one particular night that I do remember was having these beings come and take me, and they weren't a friendly vibration. So I would call it more of a negative experience rather than a positive one. And I remember being probed and prodded and looked at, and as a child it was really frightening. I was really quite terrified and felt completely powerless, and knew it wasn't a dream. It definitely was not a dream. And when I was returned to my home, because I'd rather not go into the detail of what transpired, if that's okay.
Sure.
But when I was returned home, because some of it's unpleasant, and I don't think I need to go over that ground continuously.
Sure.
So it was, when I was returned home, I remember just lying in bed, wondering what just happened as a child. I was frozen with not only the energetic patterns that they use to cripple you, to immobilize you, but also with fear. My fear. I was just frozen with fear. And there was no blankets or anything on the bed whatsoever. And I got cold because I was uncovered, but I couldn't move. So I was getting really, really cold. Eventually I got to the point where this energy sort of like released me, and I still had my fear, but I was able to overcome it. And I got out of bed and I went and I stood next to my mother in the bedroom, just looking at Mum. Didn't know what to do. I was even too frightened to wake her up. I just stood there frozen. And eventually, somehow, Mum just came out of her sleep, like mother's intuition.
Yeah.
I think I was standing there for about 10 minutes. And she woke up with a fright and saw me standing there. "What's the matter?" she said. I said, "They took me." And she said, "What do you mean?" I said, "They took me, and I have no blankets or anything on my bed." And she says, "Oh, you're having just a bad dream." You know, the usual reaction. She took me into the bedroom, and then she went, because she saw blankets and everything were missing. She said, "What? How can that be?" And we looked and looked and looked and couldn't find them. And the next, so we got new fresh sheets and blankets and everything out. And the next day, we were looking around, and right at the very, very other end of the house, they were all neatly folded in a little pile. At least they do the laundry well, So we didn't know what. I knew what was going on, but I said, "See, Mum, as she thought I must have done that," and because the rational mind comes into play. So every other possible explanation, but the one I was presenting, had to be what transpired. But my word could not be what actually happened, which hurts as a child. And I've had that throughout my life because I'm having all these amazing experiences, and when I want to share them with people, they're not allowed to be real, They're not allowed because we have paradigms in this world which don't allow these sort of experiences to be real.
Mm-hmm. Well, that was obviously a very, very unpleasant experience for you, and I'm sure you probably didn't even dare to share it with your friends at school, the younger ones. But no.
It was cut off straight away because not only that, you have the energy that's working on you from the beings that take you.
Yes.
They make you want to forget, and they put an energy into that the moment you go to try and talk about it, it's like internally you're stricken with fear, and it's a program. It's actually a program they impose into your mind and into your being, and to stop you from talking and speaking out.
You did have another experience in 2003, which was a much more, it was more benevolent, and that was very revealing because you were able to discover who was your real galactic family, and you were introduced to them. That's just such a lovely story, George. Would you like to share it with us?
Yeah, that was really an amazing experience because I'd had experiences throughout my life. But for a while there in my late teenage years and throughout my 20s, I was having a lot of negative experiences. And I felt really alone and just not supported in life at all. And when I had this experience in 2003, my galactic family, I call them my galactic family because the moment they turn up, you know exactly who they are. It's... There wasn't beings that came and said, "We are your galactic family," remember us, and all that sort of thing. No, it's like when your wife or your brother or your sister in this reality just walks into the room, you know exactly who they are. There's no getting to know anybody, it's who it is. And that's the way it was. They turned up and I remembered fully who they were instantly, and it was so wonderful to see them. And I was taken on board in a smaller craft, and then I was taken to a much larger one, way out of this solar system, closer towards the Sirius system. And it was a craft that had many races on it, but it was more of a, the main races on there were the Syrians, which is the main part of me that is here incarnate on Earth. That's where most of my energetic stream comes from, is the blue star of Sirius. That's actually a planet on a higher level. And then there's Pleiadians that were there, which I have a part of me in the Pleiades as well. Different aspects of our beings. We actually have different parts of ourselves throughout the universe. And there was Arcturians. There was the odd being from Orion, who are working really diligently to come back to the light. And there was some very, very high level beings there as well. And we were together like I would say like a family gathering. It was a very, very, it was not only a family gathering, but there was an event that was about to happen. And I was placed in a chair. It was like shaped like a dentist chair or something like that, but it wasn't cold and sterile. It was very plush and everything was very warm and friendly. And there was no technology being used. I was just laid there and they was just preparing for me to take this journey. And I came to realise that in my life I was always going to take this journey at this point in time. So they knew when it was the time to pick me up. It was that time. Because we have pre-organised before we incarnate events in our lives. And I took this journey. I left my body because what they needed to do was maintain my body, because you can astral travel and you can travel on etheric levels. But this particular journey, I was taking all of me out of the body. So they needed to maintain the life force in my body. And because my whole consciousness came out, all the I am, everything came out. And I took this journey up through the dimensions of the universe. It was an amazing, amazing experience. And I got to rediscover and re-remember what life's all about.
So, who are we then? Who are you? Why are we here as human beings on this planet at this moment? You know, your experience is amazing. So, you've got a very, very important message for humanity here. So, how would you define that? Who are we? What's this all about?
Yeah. That's a lot of big questions there.
Yeah. It's just, I'm just imagining, you know, like, okay, let's take off on a spaceship and let's go out there beyond the universe into the omniverse, and let's just experience ourselves in this. Like, we're led to believe that we're little Mr. Jones and Mrs. Smith living a reality here, you know, in this paradigm, and we're nothing. We're just little Miss Nothing, you know. And you're explaining this amazing experience. Like, if these ETs, be they benevolent or the other cousins, the unfriendly cousins, why are they taking such a big interest in us? You know, we're just a little planet out there in the solar system. What's the big deal? That's what I'm getting at. You know, why are we so important to them? When we hear about all the high tech they've got out there, they must look at us and say, oh boy, these guys are pretty awkward. Look, they're so primitive. But at the same time, there's this aspect of us that is absolutely divine, amazing, that baffles them. So they come and study us, and they take us away and they experiment, and they do all those kind of things on you. So what's the big deal? Well, what are we at? What are we about? You know, who are we? Why are we here?
Yeah, and I'm just so I would have to say pleased and glad that you have mentioned that, because it's what it's all about. Honestly, I'm so pleased that you mentioned that. I'm repeating because we've just had an issue with the camera there, so this will be edited out, obviously. But I'm about to get into the answer. First, yeah. All right. I'm so glad that you mentioned that, because that is the key to understanding what's going on here. Why are so many races here and focusing on planet Earth and studying the human race to the detail that they are? First of all, I just need to make a statement. For the people who have issues with the notion of extraterrestrial life, if you just look up at the night sky and start to get a feel for how big the place is, if you just look at some of the telescope pictures taken by the Hubble out into the cosmos and get a feel for how big the place is in its true concept, like really look at it, then you'll soon come to realise, and I don't mean to insult anyone, but how insane it is and how deluded it is to think that we are the only ones that exist. So I want to, first of all, I want to make that point clear, because I knew from a very young age, for all my life, I knew that we weren't alone. It's common sense. It's just reality. And I knew that people were trying to impose on me the ideology, are the only ones, and we're just breaking new ground on this path of discovery. It's ridiculous, honestly. So I just wanted to make that point clear, even though it may be a bit, assertive and firm. It needs to be said. It is an insane state of mind to think that we are the only ones. So the concept of why they are so interested in us has to do with we are very important in the grand scheme of things. When I took that journey, I came to remember what Earth is all about. And we are beings who have chosen to come inside this universe and experience life in this universe. And the construct of this universe is what we call light. The other universes out there are of a different construct, and I cannot explain them from all the way down in here inside this universe. I cannot grasp those other concepts. I can only share with you as best I can what I experienced and what I saw. So I got to see life beyond this universe. So we're inside a being that is this universe, and we call that God. We call it the creator of this universe. And all these universes I saw, as far as I could see, all I was seeing was other universes. And they are all individual beings as well. And I came to remember that we, as all these other universes, have come inside this one. And this is what we do. We go inside one another to experience life in all these different forms and facets. It's amazing, the way life is structured. And so we've all come inside this universe to learn how to become a being of light. Now, that's amazing. And we've taken this incredible journey over such a long period of time down through all these dimensions of the universe. And now that massive journey is beginning to come to an end. And that's what they are so fascinated in us. That's why, because of who we are and this massive journey we have taken. Because these other beings have forgotten that. They've forgotten the journey that they have taken, and have gotten caught up down here in the lower paradigms of this universe, down in the bowels of, the depths of this universe. And because that's the nature of this universe, it's designed to create that separation. It's a very challenging universe in that respect.
What is the actual construct of the universe? Like you're saying that the universe is a being. And we are beings experiencing other beings as universes. We are experiencing ourselves as creators in this universe. Now, why are human beings not aware of their power of creation? Why have they forgotten? Now, this is all, as you explained, the construct of the universe, coming in at the ninth dimension and moving down into density, lower and lower and lower density. Why would we do something as crazy as that? To disconnect ourselves from our essence, or our godly essence, and that really, really higher level of ourselves. We must be crazy.
The gods must be crazy. What a great title. We all must be crazy. The point of this universe is a waveform universe. So, you have your horizontal line, your X and Y axis, and you have frequency. You have a waveform. It's a waveform universe. And that's what creates light. A high vibration of frequency is what light is. And our atoms spin at a certain speed which vibrate the molecules, and and that determines the rate of the vibration, or the frequency determines the density of matter. So we have all these different levels of reality, and each time we go down a frequency, we go down a level, and the matter gets more dense, and we get more separated from the true essence of who we are. We don't actually get separated, really. We use that term, but what happens is another layer of reality gets put over the top. We go into another layer of reality. And so our true essence gets deeper and deeper and deeper within. We've got all these layers up on layer of all these other realities. Each time we delve into and experience a reality, that's what really happens. So we chose that, and it provides a challenge. That's what it's all about. It's that challenge. It's that let's go next step further and really experience it. And it's a bit of a wild ride, because all these other universes don't have this type of construct. And prior to us coming inside this universe, when this being expressed itself, everybody went, wow, that's really cool. I like that. And let's go in and have a bit of that. And that's what we've done. And we've chosen to come inside here and have this experience. And each time we go down through these levels of we get deeper into it. And if we want to learn how to be a being of light, as this creator, as what we call God, and you already are to a certain degree, then we need to experience all facets of life. We need to have all the wisdom. Because of the nature of this universe, if you don't, you can end up getting into a bit of trouble, you know? And because of the very nature of what we call duality, of its two opposing forces of states of being.
Right, so we're playing here in duality, moving down through the dimensions and exhausting all possibilities on each level as we descend further down. So we really get down to 3D, like with lots of baggage there, millions of lives of experience to actually arrive to where we are now. So what's happening now is, are we going to get to the point where we start ascending and we go back through the levels of the universe? So if we start to ascend, they talk about 3D and 4D, like what we would consider our heavenly realm would be 5D. So what happens to 3D and 4D? Do they fuse into 5D or do they disappear? What happens there, George?
Yeah, it's interesting. That's a great question, because people are looking at it from that point of view of when we ascend, that's when 3 and 4D, something happens to it. The fact is, 3 and 4D right now are in the process of being deconstructed. Excuse me, deconstructed. It happens when I talk truth. I get this physical reaction every time I do this. We are right in the process now of the third dimension, what we call 3D, the third dimension, and the fourth dimension, two states of being, are actually in the process of deconstructing now.
Okay.
So we're already doing that. What you see around you, what we call the New Age movement, and a lot of the Galactic stuff that I spoke of, my Galactic family, and because a lot of these beings are also on the 3 and 4th dimension that I've been in contact with, as well as beings from above into the higher realms. But these beings are, because we're experiencing them in our lives now, that means we are moving through those dimensions. And when you've got all the chakra body and all the healing modalities and all that, that is all the 4th dimensional paradigm.
Okay.
So we're already experiencing that at this moment. That's what a lot of people just didn't realise. They just go, oh, crikey, are we? So we're not ascending into the 4th dimension. Okay. We're already moving through it, and we're going to get to the point where we'll get back to the 5th dimension, but that is not ascension in itself. That's reascending to that state of being. Sure, you know, but it's not the end goal for this journey that we are in. It is, that will be the platform for us to launch into the full-blown ascension, which is then we have graduated and we then activate that inner light in such a big way that we become fully fledged universal beings.
what is graduation, as you say? That sounds like the end of a university degree. Is this like a school? Are we on a planet which is like a school?
Yeah, from one perspective it is, because it is the reality. This planet was set up to create an environment to test everybody right to the nth degree, the ones who are going to make it through. Now, those of us who are going to make it through, we know we're going through, and this journey is not for everybody. There's many people here who are giving it a go and won't make it through, and they'll make it through on another planetary system in another life cycle. So it's for those of us who are going through. We know this is why we're here, and we're going to make it through. So I just want to make that point clear. We're not forcing anybody to believe this or to, you know, to do strange rituals or, you know, this is all about making people aware of who we all are, where we come from and where we're headed. So I just want to make that point clear.
Okay. What is the source of our self, what you would call soul? Because we're living here in 3D with this ego personality, and can we control the ego personality? Or is that beyond our control because of what else is happening out there beyond our knowledge? Now, we have this soul essence, this marvellous source thing, but we're not really connected to it. So what's going on there, George?
Yeah, well, we are connected to it. It's because, you know, everything's connected, as you know.
Mentally.
I understand the point,
yeah.
the mental point of view you're giving there. It's got to do with that true core essence of us. When a part of us came inside this universe and first connected with it on the highest levels, we were planted with a seed. We were merged with the core essence of this universe. We merged and became one with that. Right. And I like to call it a seed because it really is that the way its function, the function is, it truly is like a seed. And that is about to sprout. So when we activate that inner light, that's what we're doing. We're opening that seed and becoming universal beings. Okay. So the whole journey down, we've really been, you know, nurturing that seed and taking care of it all the way down. And now that we're coming back out. And so we have this inner essence of us, which I like to call it the soul. A lot of people refer to it as soul. Some people look at the soul as something that's much lower on a vibratory level. I don't. I look at it as something that's much higher. I would use probably another label for lower aspects of the self, you know, rather than using the word soul. For me, soul is more sacred than that.
Yeah.
So people have different terminologies, okay? So I want to make that, I just want to clarify that because I view the soul as something more sacred and people view the soul as something that's much lower. Okay. So for me, the soul is more my core essence. And there's another term for what we call the I am presence, which is the deepest center of our aspects here in this universe. Okay. And that's the part of us that really, this life, has composed this life, orchestrated this life, and is also the conductor of this life. Now, there's the personality that we experience here in this lifetime, what a lot of people call the lower ego. It's the earthly incarnational personality. This time around it's called George. For you it's Suzanne. We have our vibrational labels that we use for our earthly personalities. This part of us likes to think it's in control. It likes to think that it knows what's going on and is in control of everything. Well, the reality is it's not. And this is when the question of free will comes into play, because people like to have free will. They like to be able to choose. And to a certain degree, you kind of can. But in reality, when you get to the much higher levels of the universe, you realise that from way up there, everything was already organised and designed. So it doesn't matter how you like to perceive the world and reality or life from down here, you're not really in control. That is an illusion of the lower ego, to think that you have free will down here and you have the freedom to choose. So if you come from that paradigm, and you say, no, I have free will, I have the freedom to choose, then you're not quite getting the bigger picture. And that's okay. You just go on your merry way and make those choices you want to make. But you'll be making them from a lower part of your being, not the much grander part, which is connected to all of life and the universe, and is in the flow of the unfoldment of the universe, or what we call the divine plan, or the will of God, or Pan. So many names. The opening of the lotus flower. So many labels for the one same concept.
A lot of people are waking up to new ideas, and they're getting out of the programming and all this brainwashing that has been imposed on us by different cultures and religions and the way we're brought up. But people are searching for that essence, that inner essence. The average person is starting to get curious about traveling through dimensions, visiting other galaxies, having these experiences, third eye, like fourth D kind of experiences. What would you recommend to those people who are just starting to wake up and they're having that inkling feeling, come on, there's something else, I want to break out of this illusory paradigm that they have set up for us? What would you recommend? Meditation or visualization, or just going quiet, sitting in a park, in contact with nature, being creative, lovemaking, or what works best for you, or how do you go about getting into that mode of connecting with your higher self?
Well, we're all on individual journeys, and so we kind of like need different experiences to make it happen for each and every one of us. Having taken the journey through meditation groups and healing modalities myself, I came to realise that they were all stepping stones.
Yeah.
None of them were the be-all and end-all, and that's the trap people fall into. They come across a healing modality and they say, that's it, that's the be-all and end-all. And they really go for it, and they stay in that paradigm, and they get entrapped, really, and find it very difficult to shift from that. And that's the trap so many healers around the planet have fallen into. It really comes down to, it's so simple, just be. Whether that means you just work your 9-to-5 job from now to the end, it's up to you. For me, what I find the best way that works for me, and I see it in other people too. Like they've taken the same journey through all these meditation groups and healing modalities and what have you, and philosophies and religious paradigms, is to quietly just be yourself, sit in the park, try and connect with nature, be one with nature, just appreciate it, and understand you're a part of it and it's a part of you. And start contemplating life in a very simple way, and just think about the planet. Think about how you're on this planet, you're breathing its air, so you're surviving this very instant because of that air, because this planet has that air, and I would say is providing that air for you to breathe. The water that you drink is also keeping you alive, and it is also being provided by this planet, and this planet is a being. And the food that you eat, the same. And the very fact that you exist here, you actually exist here right now, is because a being decided to manifest herself as this planet. And without that, you would not be here. So these are the basic concepts to contemplate first. This is the foundational building block of your existence here. So I recommend that approach. Leave all these other religious paradigms and high-end mind-bending philosophical teachings, and I'd say strip it all away and get it back down to simplicity and look at it from a very basic perspective. Keep it simple. That's my recommendations.
Isn't Mother Earth so admirable letting herself in for all of this for such a long time, so many eons. You talk about talking to her. You refer to her like a lady with so much tenderness and love and affection expressed to her. Can we do the same thing, George? Can we connect to Mother Earth and speak to her like a living being? You refer to her as Sophia. You call her Sophia. Others call her Gaia, Mother Earth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Everybody already has that connection with her. It's about rekindling that connection. It's about reawakening that connection. Because you're most inside of her. You are in her atmosphere. You are consuming her all the time. You are more connected with her on these levels than anything else. Yeah. And it's like when people realise that, it's, wow, it's such, that makes perfect sense. How can I have forgotten that? That's what people say when you remember this connection.
Yes.
And it's just logical. I mean, if you want to get into the logical, rational mind of things, well, this is perfectly logical and rational in itself. I'm breathing the oxygen, I'm drinking the water, I'm consuming the food that is grown on this planet. I am so one with this planet. I'm more connected with this planet on that level than anything else. So you are inside of her. That's another thing to consider.
Yeah.
And she is an amazing woman because before she manifested herself, like I said, we organise and design things from a higher aspect of ourselves. Well, before a planet is manifest into being, it knows what its journey is going to be as well. And she knew she was going to be in for a tough journey because she volunteered to be beaten and raped and plundered and tortured for many, many epochs and eras of time. So we're talking about a very, very brave soul being, because I don't think there's too many who would have volunteered for that journey, I can assure you of that.
I think we should be so much more thankful, when we sit down and eat a meal and say, and give thanks for that. One thing that hurts me quite a lot is to watch a smoker putting the butt out, putting out the cigarette in her face. We should become more aware and thankful.
They just flick it, don't they? I just toss it on the ground and stamp their foot on it and walk away, and I just don't think what they're doing.
No
consideration or respect.
Lack of consciousness, lack of awareness there, yes.
And it's when I said about sitting in the park and just feeling nature around you and life around you, say thanks.
Yeah.
Just give a little thank you. It's about gratitude and respect. Just like when you do things for people, doesn't it feel good when someone comes along and says, thanks. I appreciate that.
Sure.
And you go, yeah, no problem. And you just get that warmth, that love. And once you start expressing that gratitude, that's how that connection with her really, really begins. Mm-hmm. It's a strong avenue into reconnecting with Mother Earth on a conscious level.
Okay. Who would you define as the creator? Is it just like one God, or is there a hierarchy out there in the cosmos, like of different levels of gods fighting for the same throne? Sometimes in different mythological stories they talk about the gods fighting and having wars over lady gods and all these things happening. Is there a hierarchy out there? Are there gods that are in charge of certain parts of universes, or like the omniverse gives a lot of food for thought because we can't put an end to this. It's just infinite. So, who's behind all these scenes when you start pulling back curtains? There's more and more and more there. So, who is the creator? Or is there a government out there that organises through different departments, different galaxies, cosmoses, and what's going on out there in the big cosmos? Because your journey, George, you went way beyond, and you could see it from the other side looking back. So, of course, your vision is just immense. You can share so much with us there. I wonder if our minds are capable of absorbing that and putting it into our 3D reality and think, I think I can understand it. Can you share a little bit about your experience in that way? How do you feel?
Yeah, well, you're asking me the biggest question of them all.
Sorry.
Really.
Keep me busy.
Okay. Let's dive into it, shall we?
Go for it, George.
Okay. What I discovered in my journey, re-discovered, re-remembered. Okay?
Re-remembered,
This
yeah.
whole reality here was designed to separate us from the truth of everything. And when you leave this reality, you reconnect with that. And you reconnect on many levels. So when I took this journey in 2003, that was all the way up through the universe. And I got to see outside the universe. So what I want to share with people is that I've been outside this reality, so on the other side of the curtain, of the veil of this reality, on many occasions, to many different realities, okay? So it hasn't been just that one time. So my experiences are quite varied and vast, and I do have a great deal of experience in this area. So what I'm sharing with you is when I got to that highest part of this universe and I was looking out, and I was just pure energy, just pure consciousness, with me was the creator of this universe. And that's what we call God. And people within their mindsets are going to go, oh, look at him, he's so up himself, he's so full of it and arrogant to say that, you know, who does he think he is to have the right to be right up there speaking with God? I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. You've got God inside of you. I mean, really get over it, please. People need to get past these sort of judgmental concepts. It is, you know, there's part of you there as well, having the same experiences. So there's, I got to realise, and the creator of this universe said to me, isn't it amazing how all of you are right down in the bottom there inside of me, looking up, thinking that this is all there is. And when you look at God, that's all there is. And the concept of beings much further down who play God are the creators of all things. It's just, on one level, we just laughed. You know, even on those higher levels, you know, you feel the energy of laughter, what we term laughter. And it's something to be laughed at. And so when you look out into the omniverse, all these beings out there are actually inside this being, in here, in this universe, which is amazing. People, and it's no big deal. It's not, you know, we make it such a big deal because of our cultural programming of religions and putting gods up on pedestals and all that sort of, it's habitual in the way we think, in the way we approach life. And it really comes down to we're all these universes out there and we all go inside one another. So you're a God out there equal with this God, and this being that you call God is inside of you as well. So it's not that big a deal, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
It's not, people just blow it out of all proportion. It's just a natural state of life. This is what goes on. And then there's all these levels of life that go on beyond that, and there is no end to it. It's infinite. And we're not, there's another philosophy to on this planet that we were born out of a collective, you know, and that we actually are a drop that's emerged out of an ocean. That's not actually the case either. The truth is that you have always existed, always, and you always will exist. Yes, you are one with life, okay? If you want to be one with the ocean of life, you are, energetically speaking, but you have your own individual identity, okay?
Okay.
If you don't have that identity, you would cease to exist. So that's another concept.
Yeah.
There's so many clever mind-bending philosophies on this planet. And another thing I just want people, you always have been and you always will be. So there's no end to you. There's no beginning, there's no end. Beginning and ends, life cycles, are only concepts of smaller paradigms like this universe, okay? And within those sort of paradigms. So I want to explain that to people too. And is there a creator out there that created everything? It's just a pure energy. It's just an energy. Whatever label you want to give that, is that energy intelligent? can't tell, even from out there. It's just energy.
Yeah.
What do you want to call it? Is the energy of this universe intelligent? Of course it is. It's a living being. Out there, there's other levels of living beings. We're all inside something, and there's a part of something else, which is a part of something else. That is infinite. But behind all of that is just an energy, which cannot be, even to use the word energy, you can't even grasp it.
Yeah.
It can't be talked about. It can't be verbalised. It can't be. It's just an isness that always has been and always will be.
Always will be, yes.
That's as close as we can get to verbalising.
Yeah.
And the notion that there is a God that is the creator of all things, that is not true. That when you get to these higher paradigms, you will realise that that is not true. And if people say, "How dare you?" and you know, what about God? Well, you know, once you get on the other side and you take the journey, you come to realise these things. And there's so many beings that are all the way down here, all the way down in the lower depths of this universe, that are playing God to the human race. It's ridiculous. And they're the ones that feed off the worship.
Yeah, this leads us on to the Galactic Federation of Light and the New Age movement. These people are are playing out their own game, their own way of. They're feeding off people's desire for finding something else out there, their desire to find their essence. It's funny how they must be very, very intelligent at the same time, because I know that you're aware of how they are observing us, how they are tapping into all our possible fears or insecurities, and they can manipulate us that way. He who is religious, they're going to sell them a religious story. He who is into angels and archangels, you know, they're going to build up a whole reality around there. And they've got us all sussed out, as we would say. And it's like the manipulation in our own society, like David Icke explained to us when he was here on his visit just very shortly, lately. The whole manipulation and the corruption in the system. So these guys are doing the same, but on other levels. And
oh, yeah.
yeah.
Sorry to interrupt, but it's a really good time to do this, to interject. As David Icke, what a great man. Have a lot of respect for that man. What courage. Yeah, really. I bow to that man. Fantastic. Honestly, problem, reaction, solution. And that is what he shares, those concepts. Now take that and don't just have it on a planetary level, but apply it on a galactic level, and then apply it on an intergalactic level out into the cosmos, because that's what's going on here. And because we're at the end of this really long journey and we're about to graduate, you know, for want of a better term, okay?
Yes.
I'm using the label graduation, but
sure.
It really, if someone can find a better term, I'll happily use that. We are being tested with the best the universe has to offer. The most sophisticated mind control systems and technological systems and genetic manipulations on our bodies, in our foods, the toxicities the drugs that we're being in our so-called medical system. Really, it is the most sophisticated it has to offer, but yet our inner light and consciousness continues to defeat it over and over again.
Yeah. So what would be our protection? Because when the time comes, obviously the Galactic Federation of Light, or these posers, as I would say, they have got their big plan. And they're playing this up, ready for the big moment when the moment comes when everybody, the planet is going to be shifted around a bit, so to speak. And we're going to have the human race like in a state of panic. What's going to happen at that moment, George?
Yeah, what's happening is it's got to do with Mother Earth as well.
Yeah.
You know, she has her life cycle. And what I discovered in our journey is that we're on this journey with her. I know I am. And I know many people, such as yourself and others, feel that they are on this journey with Mother Earth. I mean, we came to incarnate to be with her.
Yes.
And to see it through with her. And so the plan is to remove people from the planet, to take them away from that what I like to call the organic path, you know, the natural path. They're trying to put mind ideals and concepts into people's minds to get them to think out there, away from in here and here on the earth, and to view that they must leave. We want to get out of here. So they're creating an environment here on earth that is so undesirable that all you want to do is get off. You want out. I've had enough. And that's what they're creating. And so very, very soon, they want to take it to a whole new level. And also with Mother Earth going through her changes, it will seem like, I've got to get out of here. That's what people are going to be focusing. Because they're going to, the primordial sort of instinct will kick in a gear of survival, because that's what they're doing. They're keeping everybody down in that survival mode. And so they will just want to survive. And any hand that reaches out and says, let me help you, oh, yes, please, they'll just grab onto that hand and go off to wherever that hand takes them. And so there'll be many avenues offered to the human race, because there's many mindsets that exist on the planet at the moment, and they have a recipe for all the mindsets. And to get beyond that, you need to go deeper into yourself and have that true organic connection, that natural connection, and connect to the higher understanding of life and who, for example, what is Christ, you know, what is Buddha energy, what is Krishna energy in its true sense. And I mean, even in the Krishna teachings, Krishna says, I am the pathway, the doorway and the light. Is that any different to the Christ teachings of I am the pathway, the doorway and the light? Yeah. And only through me will you be saved. And but there are threads of the true Christ teachings that they've made it down through the ages, because everything has been manipulated. And Jesus did say that all these things I do, you can do, and you shall do even better. Hinting that we have that God aspect within us, not even hinting, just coming out and saying it blatantly, obviously, and that we have the kingdom of heaven is within. Yes. So threads of the true message have made it down through the ages, and these are the important ones as far as I'm concerned, and many other people are concerned. So it's as far as I'm concerned, the personality and characters of these religions that are being presented to humanity are not the true personalities and characters of the beings who originally came down to spread great wisdom with the human family, and that these beings are presenting themselves to humanity in a way that they will, because it's been, I would say, imposed into the psyche. Yeah. I mean, we've been marinating in this, our DNA has been marinating in this dogma for centuries, for millennia. So it's so entrenched in our system. So for many people, once you think outside of that paradigm, you physically feel uncomfortable. And it's a very, very clever program that are imposed on humanity.
George, like, you really know what you're talking about, because you've been there and you've been on the inside as well. The inside of the manipulation, because you had your own experience where you discovered that you had in fact been manipulated by them, and you have so humbly, openly expressed that, because it's necessary to realize that it can happen to anybody. But the experience that you receive from that, and you're able to share with everybody, gives us an opening, an insight into our own level of awareness and what we need to be ready for. It's just amazing that you're still alive. After all that you've been through, George, you're still here. You know, we can still have this conversation, which is a miracle. So your guiding light there has been your own light from within. And what they're teaching out there is to search for the light outside of us. They're distracting us with this new age stuff and saying, look out here and let's flood all this light of energy through our chakra system, rather than saying let's go inside in silence and bring the light from inside outwards. And they're distracting us from our true pathway, the way we should be going. So what would you recommend people to do so that they won't fall victims of that kind of manipulation if the time arose for something similar to happen. You know,
Okay. Wow. Well, thank you for that. It has been a very difficult journey, very challenging.
Yeah.
And they have tried to take me out on many occasions, and they just can't do it. And it's because, as I said, things are organised from a high level. It's not they can't do it because, look at me, I'm better than everybody else.
Yeah.
It's universal law. You have a journey, a soul journey, and that is what's going to be. And it's lower egos and jealous entities that try to change and manipulate that, but they can't. I mean, this is universal law. They're not going to change that. That's, you know, it's the true will of God. They're not going to change that. Come on. And so you're still here. You haven't died in a car accident yet. Everybody listening to this is still here. They haven't died in a car accident yet. And I haven't. And so really, why are we still here? Why have other people passed away and we're still here? Because it's our journey to be here, and we've got more experiences to be had and more interactions to have with people in the world. So we're all playing a role in this great movie, which is what I like to call it on one level. Very important one. I'm not want to devalue what we're doing here by saying that, but it just helps people to understand that there's, you know, a movie has, a script has been written, you know, and the future's actually already happened because we're in linear time. So what I share with people is, I'll give you an example. You know, I've got friends who have gotten into this oneness blessing thing that's come out of India, and it's called the Oneness University. There's a big branch of it in Fiji, I believe.
Oh, yeah.
And what they do is this thing called Diksha, where they bring an orb of golden light and they put it into you. And it's a wonderful story. This golden eagle brings it, the great eagle, and it's just dressed up so beautifully. And I'm like, well, hang on a minute, because, you know, actually, I never got into this oneness thing, but I was saying, would you like an orb of golden light? That was when I was doing my Galactic Federation thing. I was just doing it. And I was doing it to people. And then one day I thought, crikey, what am I doing? Hang on a moment. We've already got that inside of us. Why do we need one from out there? And that's the thing.
Yeah.
You don't need anything from out there. You've already got everything in here. So you don't need to meditate and with so-called ascended masters and bring in the violet flame and the blue flame and the magenta and all that sort of business, you know. We've already got it. We've got the universe within, the kingdom of heaven within. It's all here. So what I recommend people to do, and we really do need to be doing this, but I recommend it, just to be politically correct, is to bring your inner light out. If you want to meditate with a healing energy, a particular colour of light, bring it out from inside of you. Bring the magenta out. Bring the violet energy from outside, from within you. Because you have it all in here. So why are you using all these energies from other beings? You know, why does religion teach you to get on your knees and pray to some god out there? You know, some idol deity. Talk about contradiction. Talk about hypocrisy. Thou shalt not worship idols. Or what are you doing? You're worshipping an external idol when you're worshipping, you know, in the what I call churchianity. Because that's not true Christianity, that's churchianity. and I was christened to Greek Orthodox, and I know all about it after going to a Catholic high school, boys' school and everything. I saw it from within, and I've had personal interactions with the Vatican behind the scenes, and I know all about that energy. I know who's running it, I know everything about it, and they are terrified of me because I know all about them. So I won't go into it further because it's a pretty heavy subject.
Yes.
So I'll leave that there. That'll be for much further down the track in life when that time arises. So what we have is everything is within. The whole of life is within. And we don't need to bring anything in from outside of us. So my recommendation is stop externalising and start internalising.
Okay. We're going to ask you just a last set of questions that people will come up with, I suppose, again and again. I'm sure you get so many emails with all kinds of different questions. So I've just got a little list here I'll go through very quickly. What do you think about astrology, and especially Chinese astrology chart, which is extremely sophisticated and based on the I Ching? For example, the exact same sign only appears once every 60 years, whereas in our Occidental astrology, we've just got 12 signs, and all of the Occidental worlds have to be, countries have to be fit into just 12 signs. So what is behind that kind of very, very sophisticated astrology? What do you think about it? Yeah.
Sure. Each one has its merits, and each one is applicable. The modern day one, which is the fractals of 12, are really, really important because they really link into our DNA. Now, there's other patterns. There's so many ethereal patterns which are structured because we have the whole structure of the universe in our DNA, and that's why ETs are so fascinated in us. We didn't quite go right to the nth degree of that explanation. Everybody's fascinated in Earth humans right now because the genetic embodiments we are in hold all the codes. We are the most powerful beings in the universe, and they are absolutely insanely jealous, a lot of them, the negative ones, and they are fascinated in our genetics, in our DNA, because we hold the keys to life. They can access more power through our genetics than any other life form in the universe, and they are bloodthirsty for power. I mean, they are insanely thirsty for power, so that's why. Now, can you ask me the question again? I just...
okay, what do you think about astrology, especially Chinese astrological chart? Yeah.
Yeah, sure. It has to do with the structure of our solar system too. There's actually 12 planets in our solar system, and it's fractals again. It's the condensing down or small versions of everything else, because we've been on this road to compression. So it has to do with that, and each planet that is in our solar system is actually an aspect of the universal creator and are personality archetypes of the creator. So you have Mercury, which is all to do with mind and mental aspects, and Venus has to do with desire. And if you look at our world, the two really powerful energetic streams that are manipulating the human race has to do with our desires and has to do with mental manipulation. So, and then, outside of that is war, is the warrior energy, which is Mars, and Saturn, which is more ideologically, has to do with etiquette and has to do with good behaviour. Mm-hmm. And that's more the concepts of Saturn to do with councils and government structures and maintaining status quo, and that's the energy of Saturn, and it's all about conditional love. Okay, it's all about authority and those sort of energies, and off we go. I don't know them all, but this is I know there's a lot of people that understand astrology, and so we have all these archetypes because we have 12 strands of DNA, and they exist outside. You've got the two inner ones, and then you've got all these other ones existing outside, and they all interact with one another. And the technology we've been given here on Earth only allows us to see, because, the scientific world is completely under control, and the technologies and the discoveries we make are very much controlled. And so the technology we have only enables us to see those two strands of DNA. But people who research DNA and are watching this, they know what I'm talking about. They know that the two strands are interacting outside of themselves, but they can't see them. And they know that information comes in and out of those two strands of DNA, they just don't know where and how.
Wow.
But it is to other strands outside of that.
Amazing, amazing. Is our solar system the only one that experiences third density?
Oh, good questions. No, but this version of third density, yeah, and Mother Earth, oh yeah, this version of 3D, really full on. The most dense, the most compressed reality in the universe is Earth reality. Okay. And was in the Dark Ages, that was the bottom. That's when it bottomed out. That's why it was called the Dark Ages.
Well, this planet must be an amazing place to create a much quicker evolution.
Oh, well, that's what it's designed to. And can you imagine how much power it takes to hold in one space all that energy So you take all energy from out there in the universe and you compress it all into one tight little spot.
Yeah.
And we're all interacting, bouncing around in there. And you imagine how much strength it takes to hold that space. And then you start to realise and you have a whole new respect for Mother Earth and who she is and what she's doing here. My God, talk about strength and courage.
George, have you been to the dark cosmos, which is not really a dark cosmos, but it's really a cosmos of very, very condensed light?
The dark cosmos.
Right, because
I haven't heard that term before.
Oh.
I know that our cosmos here,
it's the light cosmos. Yeah.
What is called the vacuum is the darkness. What scientists call dark matter is really a feminine aspect of the universal creator. The vacuum, like in this galaxy, is another aspect of the creator, female aspect of it. There's also male galaxies. But it's just the intention behind the galaxy, and this one is the galactic womb, and that's why we call it the Milky Way, because it's the nurturing of the mother's milk. And and that makes sense. I mean,
yes, of course.
It's just common sense. And so the vacuum of space is actually the female energy that holds the space and receives the male energy, which is the light energy that expresses itself. So even though you have a female star and it's expressing itself, the foundational structure behind this might be getting a bit too full on for people, but there's actually a male expression behind all of that as well. And the vacuum of space is the big female energy that holds everything, holds the space.
Okay.
So it's getting into deeper levels of the constructed life, that's all.
George.
It's the fire. The male, it's fire and water, you know?
Yes.
The male is the fire, the active, the doing, that sort of energy, and the female is the water, the passive sort of, holding the space energy.
George, do animals ascend with us? Animals?
Yeah, good question.
Yeah.
Yes, there will be animals that ascend because there's an ecosystem in the higher realms on every level, and the whole of the natural kingdom is in the process of sorting out who's going through and who's not, just the same as we are. Important to understand that. Yeah.
Do you agree with the fact that the dolphins and the whales will be the first to ascend?
No, not necessarily.
Okay.
No, there's no one species goes before another. No, that's
okay.
Because there's whales who are not nice people.
Okay.
And there's dolphins who are not nice people.
Oh, really?
Absolutely. So please, there's dolphin races on a galactic level that are in the dark agenda.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
So
wasn't aware of that at all. Yes.
If you think, you can't be racist here. You got to be.
Yeah.
There's draconians who are good guys.
Yes.
It's cross-broad. It's like, look at Earth, as above, so below.
Yes.
In every race here on Earth is good and bad in every race.
Yeah. Why are there so many races on Earth? Like, are they just different civilizations that have come from other planets that have taken that particular design or form?
Yeah, the reason why there's so many races here on Earth is because we created a generic form called human, and we needed that so any race from out there can incarnate into human form. And so what we have, because there's so many different races out there, you've got your sort of groupings, okay?
Yes.
So you've got like mammalian races, and you've got your serpent races and your fish races, or water aquatic beings and what have you. So there's sort of like generalised groupings. There's a lot of overlapping that occurs, but there's generalised groupings. And so the races here on Earth, the genetics that are being produced have been done so to better accommodate the different kind of races out there. So you could say, generally speaking, that certain races are more aligned with races out there in their genetic patterns. But there's a lot of overlapping. So please, it's not, this race is only that and this race is only that. That's not the case.
Okay. George, can animals have been humans in past lives? Because sometimes you look at a cat or a dog and they just have a total human expression.
Yeah, totally. There are a lot of animals that we have as pets who are not just straight from the animal kingdom, are not just elementals. They are highly evolved beings who have entered the elemental kingdom to help us in our journey at this time. And I've experienced that firsthand with a dog that I had, and who I called Angie, a blue heeler, and she was just amazing. She took so much of my pain away, and they do. They process a lot. Like, I would have been a lot worse in my life if I did not have her with me, processing so much of my hurt and my sicknesses too.
Yes.
You know, she had illnesses that I know now that if she didn't take them away from me, I would have had them. So
Wow.
our pets play a really, really big role.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Can ETs take over an animal's body form? ETs?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is possible. It's possible. That rarely happens because the energy freaks them out too much.
Yeah.
It's not so straightforward to enter into the elemental kingdom and be elemental, because you're starting to get into the real survival, energetic patterns of survival.
Yes.
You know, and it's a very different vibration altogether. Yeah.
A curious question. David Icke brought this up big time in his lecture. He said the moon is not a moon, really. The moon matrix. What's your experience there, George? Just briefly.
Oh, 100%. 100% agree with him. I came out and went public with it in 2009. I was hinting at it for a long time. I knew, because personally, one of my experiences, I have been taken to the moon, and by beings that live inside the moon. I've had some I've got a long history with those beings, and basically when I said that you've got the cabal on Earth, and you've got intergalactic cabal, excuse me, there it goes again, it's got to do with inside this galaxy, the local head office for this galaxy, if you want to put it that way, is in Orion, and we call them the Orion Nordics, because they've made themselves very, very beautiful over a long period of time. And there's a lot of other Nordic races that exist who are totally benevolent, but this group is highly malevolent and very, very, very clever. They present themselves as angelic beings to many planetary races out there, and that's what we are experiencing and will be experiencing in the public arena in a big way very soon. So, and then from there it comes to Mars, and then from Mars it goes to the moon. And the moon is the device that was put around the Earth to help enslave, to create that environment and enslave humanity. So the moon is an artificial satellite. It was once a Pleiadian craft, and you know, it's amazing because I've received emails of late of people who remember being on the moon, remember the ecosystem, remember that it was used to seed life, and when they heard, you know, there's not that many that have discovered my work yet. You know, you're going to understand that. There might be a few 100,000, but there's a lot more that haven't come across my work. So every day new people are discovering it, and they're saying, wow, you know, here I am knowing this all my life, and you've come out and said it. It's like, thank you very much. So, it was once a planetoid, and it was really a beacon of light in the universe, because it was used to seed life on planetary systems, and it was used to seed life on this system. And that's why people have such a love for the moon from that ancient memory. And it was mostly a Pleiadian craft, while there was other races that are a part of that project in seeding life. It was mostly of Pleiadian origin. And hence you've got the being that actually used to fly that craft was known as Diana. What we call Diana, the moon goddess, and she has other names as well in other cultures. But she's got a long story as well, because she used that craft to come here and defend the Earth because of her love for this Earth, and was advised not to, and ended up losing it in the battle. And then the Draconian races took it and trashed it, and it's now what we see it in the skies being used to. Because of the energetic patterns, it seeded life, so it was the best tool they could use to control life here because of our link to it. It's so deep. Yeah.
Okay. Another quick question. We have chosen this journey in duality, and we are confronted with the idea of karma. Now, I know you've got a lovely theory on karma, and you say it's just all about balance. And in the cosmos, everything is balanced out, positive, negative, you know. He who cries a lot will laugh a lot, etc., etc. Would you like to add in something there just to console people? There's no big, bad, evil God out there that's going to be a judge, you know, and point the finger at you. He's given us free will, but it's all about balance, you say, to be centered. That's where I'm going, to be centered.
Yeah. Oh, look, okay, this is the basic principle. You started out as whole, complete, okay, an energy that was just totally complete. And you took this journey into separation. And so you were totally perfectly balanced at one stage. And we've taken this journey into separation, and we are now returning. So that's what karma is. You know, karma is imbalance. Karma is re-attainment of balance. So if you've got negative karma, you then have positive karma. So negative energy, positive. Dark, light, male, female, whatever you want to, however you want to view it. It's just two opposing forces, and it comes in many expressions and in many forms. And so that's basically what karma is. It's an imbalance of energies in the process of rebalancing itself out.
Okay, so you're telling us we got to love, look within, and to trust our own knowing. Georgia, I don't think I've met anybody who's a better example than you of unconditional love. Like, I really think you're finding centre, and you're going to be a marvellous example to all of us. And you know, it's just so admirable. You're going out now on a big world tour for next year, for sure, okay? Is there any last message you'd like to give us just to round up and finish this video? Or is there something that you'd like to touch on that I haven't contemplated? Just feel free. Go away. I give you the last word. It's all yours.
Thank you, Suzanne. Very kind words. I'm certainly not there yet. I still am very conditional at times in my life, but I'm on. You know, we're all on our way. You're a shining example of that too. I'm learning a lot from you too. Thank you. It's really okay. I'm going to go and start talking about this on a much larger scale. Now, there will be a lot of beings and there'll be a lot of people who will come up with very clever counter arguments, and there'll be a lot of beings who will present themselves in a more ideological manner. Many of those beings are not in this reality and are not a part of this reality. They are not then, they do not have the energetic patterns that we do as the human race does, having lived the drama down here. So they're going to look angelic, they're going to look ideologically the masters, the teachers, the washers. The fact is that they are not. They are the self-righteous ones that don't have the courage to come in here and take the path that we have taken. They do not have the courage, and therefore they are jealous of what we are becoming and who we are. So that is my grandiose walk, many, and to stop giving your power away. And the images that have been of idols that have been imposed upon humanity throughout the ages, that is what they are going to present to you because it's in your psyche. And what the message I share is, you don't have to take the path I'm taking. And not only me, many, I would say there will be at least 2 billion on this earth, because I have a fair idea of what's about to transpire, who are going to take this path that I'm taking. They are not followers. We are not followers. We are organically connected to life and the universe, and we know our path. We know why we're here, we know what we're doing, and we know where we're headed. So we're not into following anybody. We stand in our own right. And what we are doing is we are reclaiming our sovereignty, because in order to come here, you've got to first of all give your power away. And so what I've done is I'm reclaiming my sovereignty, and I'm making a stand. I'm making a stand for my sovereignty and my spirit, because I know the truth. And I'm also making a stand for humanity, and I'm also making a stand for Mother Earth and for life itself. And everybody has this within them, so that's the easy side to my job. I'm not sharing anything new. I'm not preaching. I'm just saying, hey guys, remember this.
Yes.
And so many people are just off and running. I'm getting communications from people everywhere. They are just off and running. They've found peace again. They can relax. Because, all these concepts around you, you've got to meditate like this, be like that, eat these foods, drink that, take those pills. So much pressure on people. And you don't have to worry about any of that. All you need to really do is just be you, because you're on your soul journey, your path. And if you're in hardships at the moment, find a way to get out of that if you can. But if you don't think that you're not going to ascend and you're not going to make it. It's just that the solution to your issues has not presented itself yet, but it will. And just let go. Just be happy being you. If you feel like you're not being a good person, then just be happy that you're not a good person for now, because it's lessons that you're learning. And then very soon you're going to come to that shame, that humility, and that realisation how you've been hurting life around you in so many ways. And people, how can you say that even people who have been evil are going to ascend? Well, right at the very end, they are going to go through that humility. It's no different to realising, from a more religious point of view. I'll just bring this analogy in, that they realise their bad doings, wrongdoings, sins, whatever you want to call it, and is there a word called repent, or I don't know, something like that. Yeah. It's just using an analogy here. But what you do is you just realise how you hurt life around you, and you awaken. You go through that shame, that humility of hurting life, and you just don't want to do it anymore. That's it. And so that's what I mean by being so evil. They'll have that awakening. They'll go through that transition. It's going to be very painful for them when they do. But it's not judging. Anybody who is going to ascend will ascend. Doesn't matter where they are in life right now. Anybody has that opportunity. And you don't have to be caught up in a religious group or meditate in a cave for 3 years or anything like that. Just be you and you will make it through.
George, I can see you there standing strong. You've got plenty of fortitude. You're living true to your conviction. You consider yourself a free person, and we should all take that example to reclaim our sovereignty. We are free, sovereign beings from this universe, and we've got to be true to ourselves. We are human in that sense, like you said, very godly minded. And just we throw it out there into unconditional love, and just take your example and share. And trust in all your knowing, and your knowing is sharing your knowing with us, which helps us bring out our own knowing from our own centre as well, just looking within. So thank you so much for all your knowledge, for that big heart that you have. Your big smile is a gift for the universe. And we're just so delighted to have had this opportunity to share this time and space with you. And I know we're going to see so much of you now out in the world, because it's the time. Have you got a date for us for Ascension?
Yes, the doorways actually close, or what the openings into the higher dimensions will close on the 21st of December 2012. How about that? They will close. Yes. So those of us going through will go through before then. And they will begin to open towards the end of 2011. About this time next year, they'll start to open. Handfuls of people will start to go through, but the majority of the people will start going through from the middle of 2012 onwards. Yeah. But they close on the 21st December 2012, because then that is when Mother Earth needs to straighten up on her axis, and a pole shift will occur. So what? She needs to find centre.
Yeah. So you said Mother Earth is going to turn into a star.
Well, it's a label that I give, because she's going to turn into a being of light, just as we are. We're taking her and us. We're all going to activate our inner light bodies And that's what she's going to do. And so when you look out in the cosmos and you see a being of light out there, we call them stars. So I just thought I'll use a term everybody's familiar with. Yeah.
George, you are a star.
And so are you, and so is everybody. And far more from that, what I wish to say is that please do not forget you are a universal being and you have the power. All of you. Don't forget that.
Thank you, George. Thank you so much, right, from our heart. It's been absolutely wonderful. Big kiss. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everybody.
Bravo. Bravo, bravo.